Have you ever wondered if she's telling you the truth? In the next few minutes, you'll discover exactly how to detect when a woman is lying to you, even if she's the best actress in the world. This knowledge will forever change how you relate to women. Think about all the times you've had that gut feeling, that intuition, that something doesn't add up in what she's telling you. Most men ignore these signals and end up being deceived over and over again. But you won't be one of them. Not after today. The ability to detect lies isn't just a defense tool, it's a power that instantly puts you in a position of advantage in any interaction. As Neil Strauss says, the truth is that everyone lies, but only those who know how to detect lies have true control in relationships. To master this skill, you first need to understand something fundamental. Women lie differently than men. Their lies are more subtle, more contextual, and often harder to detect if you don't know exactly what to look for. Imagine being on a date, asking a woman about her ex, and she responds that they ended on good terms. How do you know if this is true? How can you detect if there's something deeper, something she's hiding? That's exactly what you'll learn today. If you like this type of content that gives you an edge in relationships, make sure to subscribe right now and hit the notification bell. The knowledge you're about to receive will change the way you relate to women forever. The first sign you need to learn to recognize is incongruent body language. Most people focus only on words, but Neil Strauss has shown that verbal communication is just a small part of what's really being transmitted. When a woman lies, her body literally betrays her. The body always tells the truth, even when the mouth lies. This is one of Strauss's fundamental maxims. When someone makes up a story, their brain is working on multiple levels, creating the lie, remembering the truth, and controlling their emotional response. This cognitive effort generates micro-expressions and involuntary gestures that cannot be consciously controlled. Has it happened to you that you feel something strange but can't identify exactly what it is? You were probably instinctively detecting these incongruencies. Pay special attention to these 4 body points: hands, feet, eyes, and breathing. When a woman lies to you, you'll notice that her hands seek to busy themselves with something, touching her hair, adjusting her clothes, playing with an object. Her feet may point toward the exit, showing her unconscious desire to escape the situation. Her breathing pattern changes, becoming more shallow or even briefly holding her breath. But the most revealing are the eyes. When we fabricate lies, our eyes move differently than when we remember the truth. If you notice she looks up and to the right before answering a personal question, she's constructing a mental image, not remembering. She's creating, not recalling. Do this exercise the next time you talk to a woman. Ask her a question that you know will require her to remember something real, like, "What was your first job?" Observe the direction of her eyes. Then ask her a question that might tempt her to lie, such as, "Have you ever cheated on someone?" The difference in her eye behavior will give you a baseline for detecting her personal patterns of deception. This knowledge alone already puts you ahead of 95% of men who live deceived because they don't know how to read these signals. But this is just the beginning, because the real power lies in combining this observation with active techniques, and that's what we'll talk about in the next point. The second key aspect to detecting lies is mastering the art of asking unexpected questions. When a woman lies, she usually has a prepared version of the facts, a rehearsed narrative. As Neil Strauss explains, the person who asks the questions controls the conversation, and whoever controls the conversation controls reality. The mistake most men make is being predictable in their questions. If you suspect she's lying about where she was last night, instinct would lead you to ask directly, "Are you telling me the truth about where you were?" But this is exactly the question she's prepared for. Instead, surprise her with tangential questions that apparently aren't related to what you want to know, but that will reveal inconsistencies if she's lying. If she says she was at the movies with her friends, don't question that directly. Instead, ask something like, "What seats did you have?" or "Who bought the popcorn?" These questions about peripheral details are devastatingly effective because she's not prepared for them. If she was really there, she'll respond naturally, even if she doesn't remember exactly. She'll say something like, "I think we were in the middle row," or "Everyone bought their own." But if she's lying, these questions will force her to create details on the fly, which will generate notable pauses, vague answers, or even obvious inconsistencies. Another powerful technique is to ask the same thing in different ways throughout the conversation. If there are inconsistencies in the story, they'll eventually be revealed. As Strauss says, the truth is consistent, lies almost never are. Has it happened that you have a hunch but can't prove it? This technique will give you the evidence you need. But remember, the goal isn't to create a hostile interrogation. These questions should arise naturally in the conversation. Practice this. Create a list of 5 tangential questions you could ask to verify a common story, like a night out with friends or a workday. These will be your verification tools from now on. If you're getting value from this content, take a second to like and share this video with someone who needs this information. It could save them from a relationship based on lies. The third crucial point, which very few men understand, is recognizing patterns of atypical behavior. When a woman lies, she unconsciously slightly changes her usual behavior. The key is to first establish what her normal behavior is, her baseline, and then identify deviations. Neil Strauss explains it perfectly. Every person has unique patterns of behavior when telling the truth. Know these patterns and lies will jump out like a beacon in the darkness. Think about this. Do you really know how she acts when she's comfortable and being honest? Most men never take the time to observe and record these patterns, so they don't have a point of comparison when inconsistencies appear. For example, if she's normally someone who maintains sustained eye contact during conversations and suddenly avoids looking you in the eyes when talking about a specific topic, that's a clear sign. If she usually speaks at a slow and reflective pace, but suddenly starts talking quickly and without pauses when telling you about a certain situation, she's showing signs of cognitive stress, typical of deception. Even the level of detail can be revealing. If she normally tells stories with few details, but suddenly describes something meticulously, she may be overconstructing to seem credible. Conversely, if she's usually detailed and suddenly becomes vague and general about a topic, she's avoiding fabricating details that might give her away later. Have you ever noticed how her way of laughing or smiling changes when she's nervous? Those small changes are your personalized indicators. Do this exercise. For a week, observe and mentally note how the woman you're interested in behaves when talking about neutral or positive topics, where she would have no reason to lie. Observe her speech rhythm, gestures, posture, eye contact, and level of detail in her stories. This will be your personal map for detecting any deviation when topics arise where she might have reasons to hide the truth. This level of observation will not only allow you to detect lies, but will also deepen your understanding of her personality and behavior, making you much more attractive because of your level of attention and knowledge. And while most men don't even notice these details, you'll be playing at a completely different level, and that's what we'll talk about in the next point. The fourth essential element to discovering when a woman is lying to you is understanding and analyzing her linguistic style. The words she uses, or avoids, can reveal more than she herself knows she's communicating. Neil Strauss has identified specific linguistic patterns that appear when someone is constructing a false story. Lies leave traces in language that are as clear as footprints in the sand for those who know how to look for them, he states. Pay special attention to these linguistic indicators. Excessive use of honesty statements, I swear, honestly, to be sincere. Depersonalization, speaking in the third person or in general terms instead of using I. Unnecessary denials, denying things you haven't questioned. And so-called qualifiers that dilute statements. I believe, maybe, perhaps. A woman who is being sincere simply tells what happened. One who is lying will unconsciously feel the need to reinforce her credibility. If she never uses phrases like, I swear on my mother's life in normal conversations, but suddenly does when explaining why she didn't respond to your messages last night, your internal alarm should immediately activate. Another revealing pattern is chronological structure. True stories are generally told in chronological order, but when someone lies, they often jump in time or start at the end to emphasize the result they want you to believe, not the process that actually occurred. Have you noticed how some explanations sound perfectly logical, but something in you doesn't accept them. Your intuition is probably catching these linguistic incongruencies. A powerful exercise is to pay attention to her way of answering questions. If you ask her, "Where were you last night?" and instead of answering directly, "I was with my friends at the restaurant," she says, "Why? Don't you trust me?" She's answering a question with another question, a classic evasion technique. Practice identifying these patterns in everyday conversations, not just when you suspect a lie. Familiarizing yourself with these structures will allow you to detect them instantly when they appear in situations where the truth is crucial. This linguistic sensitivity will not only allow you to detect deception, but will also dramatically improve your ability to connect emotionally, as you'll be attentive to the nuances and subtexts that most men never perceive. If this content is helping you, make sure to like it and share it with other men who could benefit. The right information can change lives. The fifth and most powerful aspect to detecting when a woman is lying to you is what Strauss calls the controlled pressure technique. This is the master level that separates men with exceptional social intelligence from the rest. The premise is simple but profound. When someone lies, they are constantly monitoring your reactions to make sure you believe them. This monitoring consumes considerable mental resources. If you slightly increase the cognitive pressure during the conversation, you'll see how her facade begins to crumble. Deception requires constant mental effort, explains Strauss. Increase that effort enough, and the truth will find its way to the surface. Unlike the previous techniques, this isn't about passively observing, but actively creating conditions that make maintaining the lie mentally exhausting. An effective way to apply this pressure is through abrupt topic changes, followed by unexpected returns. If you suspect she's lying about something, completely change the conversation topic, talk about something totally different for a few minutes, and then suddenly return to the original topic with a specific question. This technique breaks her mental preparation and can reveal inconsistencies that wouldn't appear in linear questioning. Another powerful application is the false knowledge technique. It consists of subtly insinuating that you already know information about the topic without specifying exactly what you know. You could say something like, "Before you tell me your version, I want you to know that I already talked to someone who was there." If she's lying, this ambiguity will force her to quickly recalculate her story, which will generate visible signs of stress, or may even lead her to partially confess to probe what you really know. Has it happened that you feel she's carefully calculating every word? This is exactly the moment to apply these pressure techniques. A practical exercise. The next time you feel someone is hiding something from you, practice the incorrect paraphrasing technique. After she tells you something, repeat what she said but subtly altering an important detail. If she's telling the truth, she'll correct you immediately. If she's lying, she'll often accept your modified version because correcting you would require mentally returning to the original lie and verifying consistency. What makes this technique so powerful is that it works regardless of how good she is at consciously lying. You're working with subconscious cognitive processes that not even the most experienced liars can fully control. When you master these 5 aspects, recognizing incongruent body language, asking unexpected questions, identifying patterns of atypical behavior, analyzing linguistic style, and applying controlled pressure techniques, you become someone practically impossible to deceive. You will no longer be manipulated or have your emotions played with. But there's a deeper truth here. This knowledge isn't just about uncovering lies, it's about understanding human nature at a level few men reach. When you develop this ability, something extraordinary happens. Genuine and honest women will feel more attracted to you because they'll perceive your ability to see beyond superficialities. As Strauss explains, when a woman knows you can see through lies but you choose to be with her, a level of trust and attraction is created that few will experience in their lifetime. If you've made it this far, it's because you value truth and authenticity in your relationships. You've taken a step that puts you above 99% of men who live in ignorance or, worse yet, in denial. Imagine how your relationships will change when you implement these techniques. You won't just avoid being deceived, you'll naturally attract women who value honesty as much as you do. Superficial and manipulative relationships will disappear from your life because they simply won't be able to sustain the facade in the face of your new insight. Remember, this knowledge carries responsibility. It's not about becoming paranoid or making unfair accusations. It's about developing a deeper understanding of human communication and using it to create more authentic and meaningful connections. Now you have the map, the tools, and the understanding to navigate the complex world of female communication with a clarity that few men possess. The question is, how will you use this power? Comment below, "I choose truth over the comfort of ignorance. I will never be deceived again." Make this declaration to commit yourself to implementing what you've learned today. If this content has opened your eyes, help me spread this knowledge. Subscribe right now, hit the notification bell, and share this video with other men who need this information. The truth deserves to be known, and remember, the next time you feel that hunch that something doesn't add up, you won't be defenseless. You'll have the tools to uncover the truth, no matter how skillfully they try to hide it. That's the real power that no one can take away once you've acquired it.